has a project called the Aurora Project in Gaston, Alaska. And what they did is they built an array of antennas that's like 27 acres of nothing but antennas. And they got these generators that would generate billions and billions and billions of volts. And what the idea was, the story goes that they're telling us, is that what they want to do is superheat the atmosphere all the way down the Western Hemisphere to provide a missile defense system that works electronically. So that if an ICBM is fired, for example, from Russia, who was, supposedly not our enemy anymore, these missiles go up about 200,000 feet before they drop down in the atmosphere. And they can go from there to here in about 20 minutes. The reason I know, I worked on a Nike X project where Vandenberg Air Force Base would fire a missile to Kwajalein, where I was working on government contract. And when the missile was fired at Vandenberg, we got the countdown, and 20 minutes later, it was entering the atmosphere at Kwajalein. We were supposed to shoot it down with Nike X missiles. And we weren't able to do that very well in 1965. We weren't hitting that missile very often. But the point is, this HAARP project was to superheat the environment. Well, it also provided extremely low frequencies, and it transmits all the way down to Latin America. And it transmits not only through the atmosphere, but through the Earth. And that technology is also used to communicate with submarines, nuclear submarines. They're underground, they're underwater for a long time, a year at a time. How do they communicate? In the old days, they used to pop a antenna up from that'd come up to 200 feet, 300 feet, they'd float an antenna, send a signal, pull the antenna down, go about their business. Now they don't even have to come up. They can lay on the bottom of the ocean, 1,000 feet down, and through ELF, they will receive messages, encrypted. Now, why am I talking about this? Because everything is frequency, okay? Geopathic stress. It has nothing to do with a small car. Geopathic stress has to do with the immediate environment that we reside in. There's an article in the Passau that talks about why gypsies never get sick. Gypsies never get chronic diseases. Gypsies will get acute diseases, they'll eat bad food, they'll fall down, they'll catch a cold from somebody necessarily, but the kind of chronic diseases that we see in the Western world, gypsies never get it. The reason, in Europe, we don't have many gypsies here. We have a lot of people that kind of go around the country. RVers, for example, they don't get near the stress that, unless mama's ragging on them all the time or daddy's ragging on mama all the time, but no, they don't get near the stress that people who live in a place get. Because the environment that you live in builds on you, especially if it's not a good environment. For example, this area here is got dust, valley fever, the winds blow all the time, you're getting crud in your lungs all the time. I've met more people, including myself. Physician, heal thyself. I've just come here, so I've got to, and I haven't been able to set up because I was waiting to do this seminar with 400 or 500 people before I set up my office because I didn't want to move the equipment twice. So I'm going to do the equipment. But anyway, point. There's a lot of environmental issues in Tucson, Arizona. But there's a lot of environmental issues in, West Virginia. There's a lot of environmental issues in LA, especially if you live around San Clemente and San Onofre where the nuclear power plant is. So you get a lot of geopathic stress. This system deals with geopathic stress. What it does is it takes your body, energy flows, because your body is energy. I'm getting to that. Everything is energy, everything is vibration, everything is frequency, everything within your body has a frequency. And what we do is we put it in harmony again. And a lot of people feel great relief as a result of those sessions, and they don't take very long. These systems can generally make you walk away from a therapeutic session knowing something has changed. You don't go out dancing in the street if you couldn't dance before, but you know something is better and good. And often it lasts for days and weeks. Sometimes you have to come back for 2 or 3 sessions, but on the whole, and it's non-invasive. Everything we do here is non-invasive. So we deal with those kind of issues. Focal disease. Believe it or not, probably 30% of everything you are sick for comes from your teeth. Comes from fillings, which should be, if you have amalgams, everyone should, I know it's expensive or pricey, spendy, should trade their amalgams for porcelain or enamel. A good dentist will do it, no problem, because that stuff is leaching into your body every day. It's an electrolyte too. It attracts ions, and there's nothing good about amalgams, nothing. So, and another thing is the bacteria that gets in under your teeth. Us old folks, older folks, I don't want to say old. Us older folks, we've had our teeth cleaned so many times, and they get in there and dig and probe and that. And if we've had a root canal, there's bacteria and viruses that lay dormant underneath. And unless you're zapping them electronically or taking colloidal silver or peroxide, you know, in and around after you floss, instantly get peroxide in there. Those things are causing problems for you that you may not even be aware of. Okay, so I've been searching every which way. I've had the time and the wherewithal to see what was real and what wasn't, what isn't. Because let's face it, we are creatures of what we were taught. And I believe that most of us have been indoctrinated rather than taught. We were taught a lot of things that weren't about our environment, the social mores, the media bombarding us with behavioral issues and things that are going on. It influences us every day. Children are almost the best source of certain truths because they haven't been indoctrinated like the rest of us. You ask a child a simple thing, how does it, why do you think that happens? They'll give you a pretty good answer most of the time, unless they absolutely don't know, but they'll give you a pretty good answer. Children have to be unlearned. So as we're growing up and we go through life and we come to a place in our life where we accept certain truths. We accept that a doctor is the guy, and that these things are curable or incurable, and that you have to do this or that, and that you have to live this way or that way. The fact of the matter is those are indoctrinations. Those are subtle messages, little vignettes that we're subject to every day, and in order to overcome that, we have to say, wait a minute. I don't want to get into this rebellious thing or this, rebelling against authority. But the fact of the matter is you almost have to do that, because when you begin to question that which has become accepted as socially or medically or governmentally an axiom, you are branded, and you then have a serious problem. And you can be put under attack by any number of organizations, and they will ostracize you, and they will shame you, and they will confiscate your equipment, and they will cause your friends to go away because they will say bad things about you. It's true. When you stand up against what is considered to be the social norm in anything, you are going to be ostracized, even though you're telling them the truth. They don't want to hear the truth. It's better to be like this. Controversy is the kiss of death in the business world and in academia. That's the universities. We usually go along to get along, or you're ostracized, declared antisocial, or insane. It's real simple. Yeah. So, truth or lies, allopathic medicine. I get to go after the doctors. My wife said, don't do this. You're going to get everybody mad. And I said, I got to do it. It's what it is. Okay, I've skipped through this thing pretty good. Atoms, molecules, structures, organic, inorganic, crystalline, amorphous. Okay. Frequencies and harmonies, kilohertz, hertz. We know what a hertz is, frequency, okay. Then we have sine waves, and we have square waves, and we have sawtooths, and we have more. Okay, so the spectrum goes from extremely low frequency all the way up, and then into the microwave range. And in that frequency spectrum, we come into things we know as touch, things we can see, things we can hear. Okay? Our dogs can hear better than us, an eagle can see better than us, a cat can see better than us at night. They operate at a different, their sensory systems operate on a different frequency level than ours does. That's all it is. It's real simple. They can smell things we don't smell. So we have harmony and influence. The whole universe is in harmony. So if I pluck this string on the harp and walk away and come back in 2 minutes, all of these strings will be oscillating because there's an influence of harmony there. The frequency wants to start something else. A tuning fork is an excellent example of that. Okay? So everything has an electronic fingerprint, identifiable by frequency. Now we get to where I'm at. Tora, Tora, Tora. Anybody see that movie? Wasn't that a great movie? I loved it. I didn't like what happened. Certainly nobody likes what happened. But do we know what Tora Tora means? It means attack, attack, attack. Well, that's what allopathic medicine is. That's what traditional medicine is. I'm going to attack your problem. You come to see me. What's your problem? I've got a cold. Well, what's wrong with, let's see, how many people have I seen this week with the same cold? Let's see. All right, I've got the pharmacy guy was by last month, and he said there's going to be this flu going around, and why don't I try some of this stuff because he recommended it. This is your doctor. He's listening to the pharmaceutical salesman who's coming out from Lever Brothers or McKesson Robbins, or the German company. They're all over the place. $1 trillion a year in business. Doctors are textbook doctors unless they're highly specialized. And I proved it to myself. I went to a walk-in clinic a few times before I got involved with alternative medicine. Whenever when I had a cold, I was a corporate executive. I had to go to work. I had people dependent on me. You know, when you get older, you get wiser. But I have to go to work. Doc, give me a shot. Give me something. But I got to go to work, not knowing that, 3 days in bed, plenty of fluids, take an aspirin, you'll be fine. But he was always giving me something. On 2 occasions with 2 different doctors in different towns, the doctor had left to leave the room, and I waited about 5 minutes, and I walked down the hall. I walked down the hall. He was in his office looking at the desk reference book, the physician's desk reference book, looking which medication he thinks he could give me. Okay? So I said, can I see that? I've never seen one before. Since then, my daughter's a nurse, so I know all this stuff. I don't know all this stuff. I know where to get all this stuff. So I look at the physician's desk reference. Have you ever looked at it? It's real simple. It gives you every kind of drug that's on the market today and was on the market 20 years ago. These are all synthesized drugs, usually from natural remedies that you can get, from an Indian shaman, for crying out loud, or, an India homeopathic guy. But what the chemical companies do, or the pharmaceutical companies do, which is what they are, chemical companies, they synthesize a chemical that makes it act like that. So I said, well, what do you think you're going to give me? He was cool. He said, I've been thinking about this one here. I said, well, let me read it. Now, this book this is like an unabridged dictionary. Okay? And there's probably 2,000 pharmaceutical items in there, drugs. There's one sentence that says what the drug is good for. There is that much in 4 paragraphs what the possible side effects are and probable side effects are. So I'm thinking one sentence to say it'll do this, but if you're on high blood pressure medication, If you take too much of it, it'll cause kidney failure, or your liver will fail, or you'll have blood in your urine, or I mean, it goes on and on and on. And in fact, today they're so bold, they think we're so stupid, which we are. Every magazine that you buy on the counter from the bookstore has some sort of medication in it from Pfizer or something, and it'll say, "Oh, are you suffering from this or that? Are you pregnant? Or you have headaches? You have this or that, indigestion?" They'll say, "Take Xanax," and they have this big ad. I mean, a full page. These cost $25,000 in 4 colors to do this. So you know that they're getting a lot of payback on that. But it tells you in one paragraph what it does, good for you. And then the whole rest of the page is, this could happen, that could happen, this could happen. I mean, who would want to take this stuff? I mean, why don't you go out and take a little arsenic? Hey, take 4 shots of tequila, pass out, go to bed, you'll be fine. It's better to do that. I'm not condoning that necessarily. Okay, so what is the Tora? Allopathic traditional medicine is cut. You're going to cut it out, right? Now, hey, if you're bleeding on the street, God bless the surgeons. God bless the surgeons. I love them all. They'll burn it out with chemotherapy. They'll radiate it, right? I know people that have gone, they've had lung tumor, and they've gone to the Stanford Linear Accelerator in Menlo Park, California. This thing's a mile around, and what it does is it takes an electron and they fire it down, and they have magnets all the way down around. It keeps that electron dead center all the way around, and they're sitting at the chair at the end of this thing, and they fire an electron into that tumor. That electron hits them so hard, it knocks them off the chair. I've seen it. An electron, that's an atom. In fact, it's not even an atom. It's a part of an atom, and it'll knock them off the chair. Okay? Now, what that does is it's going all the way through you. Chemotherapy absolutely destroys your whole immune system. Now, we all see television and how all these oncologists and all these cancer patients are praising how my doctor saved my life. Especially women these days. You know, the big deal now is breast cancer, right? And doctor, he cut my breast off. I'm in good shape. I had a preacher tell me that doctor thought I had cancer. Cut my spleen out and found out it was benign. Cut his spleen out to find out it was benign. Give me a break. We don't know exactly the other side of that story about how many people who've gone through chemo and how many people have gone through radiation and how many people have been cut, slashed with the tumors, the survivability, and in terms of days, months, weeks, years. It's not that great, and the quality of life is terrible. And the success stories by people who have gone to the alternative methods are far greater than anybody that's been treated by those guys. And they say they don't have a cure, but I'm going to tell you there is a cure, there has been a cure, and there's been a cure for 50 years for any kind of cancer. And I'm not here to champion that, because I don't like to get in that part of the medical profession's backyard, because that's when they really come after me and Dr. Brzezinski in Houston, Texas, and all of the people who are really trying to help people. See, the FDA doesn't care if you're cured or not, because they only care of the method that you did it. And if they don't approve it, then you're a criminal, even though you've cured it. But again, we don't cure anything. Dr. Salk and Dr. Sabin, polio vaccines were given to every person in the United States when I was in grade school, high school. And what they don't tell you is that the amount of incidence of polio was on the decline. It was almost non-existent by that time. We all knew somebody who had it, but compared to what it used to be, it was a non-disease by the time they were giving vaccines. And in fact, more people had harsher side effects from the vaccine than they ever did as a population with polio being rampant. And vaccinations, I'm only going to say I had a whole big thing because I thought there was going to be a lot of people. Vaccinations, don't ever take them. I can get rid of them with that. I took every vaccination in my body that I was given from the time I was there to there, and I didn't have to take as many as the kids do today. And they're gone. I took them out, everything. Scarlet fever, chickenpox, or rubella, all that stuff. Whooping cough, I don't want it. I want my immune system to deal with it. I don't want this thing laying dormant and who knows what there is. Okay, Royal Raymond Rife. You guys are going to have to go pretty soon, huh? Okay, allopathic medicine attacks the symptom, never the cause. Oh, the last thing that traditional medicine does is medicate. And they like to medicate with things like Demerol, Valium, Prozac, Librium, and stuff. And of course, we have 25–30% of our children in schools, so the statistics go, that I've seen in writing, that have ADS, attention deficit disorder, ADD, and they're on Librium or Prozac, Librium or Prozac. Huh? Our kids, 30%. Well, if you wouldn't stuff your kid full of donuts before he went to school in the morning, he might not be so hyperactive. Okay, allopathic medicines, a quick fix until the insurance runs out or the patient dies. Occasionally they get better, but it usually traumatizes the